One day in a distant village. In the countryside there lived a little boy, Ahmed, 7 years old, with his family. From a father, mother, and elderly grandmother. The child's name was Ahmed, and his eyes were brown. He had blonde hair and a white face. He was popular in the village. Everyone knew him as Ahmed. He goes to school every morning, which is located in the forest. It is a small house. It has one large room made of wood. It is the class in which students study. They learn to read, write, and arithmetic. They memorize beautiful songs. One day Ahmed was returning from school. Then he noticed a deer looking at him from afar. He calls him in human language and says to him, "Come, Ahmed. Come here." He helped me, and Ahmed was afraid. He returned home running, afraid of what he saw and heard. He knows that animals. It has its own language and does not know how to speak human language. He was afraid of that deer and ran quickly home in the evening. He wanted to tell his parents what he saw, but he was afraid. Don't they believe him? No animal has spoken to humans before today. Let the deer speak. Ahmed did not tell anyone what he saw, but rather began to doubt himself. He says, "Did I really see a deer, and did it talk to me? I must not have seen anything if I had seen that deer. He came home and asked me for help. Yes, he does not exist, and I was delusional." Not until the next day did Ahmed go to school. Indeed, it was while he was walking to school. He thinks of that deer he saw and looks to the right and to the left, trying to see if there really was a deer, or he was delusional. Ahmed arrived at school. He did not see the deer in the place where he had seen it since yesterday. And throughout school hours, Ahmed was distracted and not paying attention to the teacher. After school ended, Ahmed returned as usual, alone to his house, which is located at the end of the forest. On the way, he stopped in the same place, the one he saw the deer the day before. He waited a while, looking in all directions. But he did not see the deer, and when he wanted to walk back home, he heard a voice calling from afar, "Oh Ahmed, oh Ahmed." So Ahmed turned, and the deer he had seen the day before was standing far away. He called him, but this time Ahmed was not afraid, but answered him. He said to him, "What do you want, deer?" Then the deer approached him. He said to him, "My master is the one who loves me and raised me since I was a little deer. He needs help, and I can't. Will you go with me to him?" Ahmed said to him, "And where does your master live, deer?" He said, "He lives in the house that is located behind that distant hill." Ahmed looked and knew the place. He said to the deer, "Wait for me here and I will return home. I put my books and notebooks down and come back to you." And Ahmed actually returned home. He placed his school books and notebooks. He went to his father and told him what he saw, but his father did not believe him. What he heard from his son for the first time. He thought that Ahmed had fallen asleep and saw these words in his dream. But Ahmed told him that the deer was waiting for us. Ahmed's father went out with his son to see that deer and help him. if he really needed help when Ahmed and his father arrived at the scene. They did not find the deer, and it seemed that it had escaped. When Ahmed's father saw from afar, and when Ahmed's father did not see the deer, he thought Ahmed had seen this in a dream. But the deer's hooves are on the ground. It made Ahmed's father suspicious. Ahmed said to him, "It is the house that the deer pointed to. It is located behind the mountain." So Ahmed and his father went to that house. When they arrived, they found a simple house made of wood with an open door. Ahmed's father stood at the door. He called out and heard a weak voice from inside. He tells him, "Go ahead, good man." So the father entered with his son Ahmed. They found a weak old man. Lying on his back, the man said, "Welcome to the kind people. Welcome to the father who loves his children." Ahmed's father said, "Who are you? What are you doing here, and what is the story of the deer?" The man said, "I'm a woodcutter who works here in the mountains. One day I returned from work. I found this deer lying in the snow, so I carried it home." She warmed him next to the stove. "I treated him and discovered that he was speaking. He came from a distant country where animals speak the language of humans. This was the deer. He helps me with everything I want. Until the illness made me sick. I couldn't work anymore, so I sent him to talk to Ahmed in order to help them." Ahmed said, "I cannot help you without telling my father." Ahmed's father said, "We will come to you every day, Ahmed, and help you with whatever you want. But after it's over." Ahmed's attendance at school. The moral of this story, my friends, children, that the boy should not go to a strange place, or to talk to strangers without getting his parents' permission. He must accompany one of them without the knowledge of the father and mother.